Greetings, Nick with Sweetwater here, and today we're going to be taking a quick look at a few Stompbox tips and tricks that will help you add some Eddie Van Halenisms into your sound. Now, this isn't one of those deep dives into duplicating Eddie's signature brown sound videos though. Just a few ways you can Van Halenize your tone, if you will, while keeping it totally yours. Make sense? Good. Let's get to it. The late, great, and much missed Edward Van Halen left us with a plethora of wonderful gifts, the most obvious ones being these. 1. His innovative, game-changing playing and techniques. 2. An amazing legacy of music spanning some 40 years. And last, but certainly not least, 3. His always jaw-dropping and inspirational tone. A self-confessed tone chaser, Edward's sound remains the holy grail for many, myself included. That said, there's one more gift from Edward that we simply cannot ignore, and it's a darn important one. What is it, do I hear you ask? Well, all that great gear that bears his EVH initials, of course, including the 5 pedals we're going to take a look at today. And those 5 EVH pedals are as follows: the 5150 Overdrive, the 5150 Chorus, then the Flanger, the wah, and of course, the Phase 90. As I'm sure you're aware, Edward didn't put his famous initials on these pedals just for the sake of it. He was intimately involved in the development of all of them from start through finish, from soup to nuts if you will, including taking them on the road and using them in the studio. So they're all 5150% tone chaser approved and used. Nice. First up, the Evh Phase 90, this bad boy right here. This is literally 2 classic MXR phases in a single box. Firstly, the original old script logo one that Edward used all the way up until, of course, he made that one, and then the block logo one, this one here. So what's the difference between the script and block logo versions, do I hear you ask? Aside from the logos, of course, well, the script one is extremely subtle, whereas the phasing the block logo one produces is much more pronounced. The little button labeled, wait for it, script on the EVH version allows you to select whichever one you want to use. Button in is script, button out is blocked. Ed was a script user, so I've got the button engaged. In my humble opinion, this pedal is pivotal, especially on those first few albums. Now, back in the day, I would spend literally hours and hours learning some of his riffs and licks as best as I possibly could. But no matter how close I managed to get the notes to my ears, there was always something missing sonically. Until, that is, I discovered Ed's secret. Set a script logo MXR Phase 90 pedal somewhere between 9 and 10 o'clock and have at it. So that's what I did. Now we're talking. As already mentioned, Ed used this pedal on solos all the time, especially on those first few albums, and in particular, the 1978 debut. For example, check out the game-changing classic Eruption, and you hear exactly what I'm talking about. Take this little tapping section, for example. This sounds close, but not quite right. Hear what I mean? There's something missing. So guess what I'm going to do? Yep, I'm going to hit the Phase 90 with Ed's slow speed setting and see what happens. Take 2. Now we're talking. That's it, the secret sonic source. Well, some of it anyway with these fingers. Some of EVH's many memorable Phase 90 moments can be heard on songs such as Atomic Punk, I'm the One, On Fire, and Light Up the Sky. This magical setting also sounds great when you rub the edge of your palm vertically up and down on the strings over the bridge pickup. Here's what I'm talking about with the Phase 90 off. And here it is with the Phase 90 on. And as if by magic, hey presto, you've instantly got the intro to Atomic Punk. Well, kinda anyway. Yes, my friend, this pedal is definitely a subtle but essential spice in EVH's instantly recognizable tonal legacy. Now, according to an interview with Guitar World in 2015, Ed has been setting his Phase 90 speed control between 9 and 10 o'clock pretty much ever since he first got his hands on a script logo Phase 90 way back when, before Van Halen even got signed. The reason he liked the script logo Phase 90 so much? Here's the reason in his words, not mine. I thought it sounded unique. It didn't sound like phase pedals made by other companies where the phase sweep is more heavy and pronounced, almost like a flanger. The Phase 90 produces a very light change of sound. It's not an over-the-top effect, it's very subtle. As already mentioned, Ed tended to kick in his Phase 90 during solos. Why? Well, once again, over to Mr. Van Halen. I did it in the early days because it would make solos pop. Suddenly it became a different sound which helped me stand out in the mix. Back then, in the club days, we usually had lousy PA systems and lousy sound guys. The pedal didn't boost the signal though, it just made it pop out so the solo was more audible. It enhanced the tone. And there you have it, my friend. Try it yourself. It definitely works. If one of your solos isn't popping enough, simply step on an EVH Phase 90 pedal, set the Ed way, and hey presto, problem solved. Incidentally, if you'd like to know more, there's a link below this video which will take you to an article which tells you a lot more of the backstory behind Mr. Van Halen and his effects pedals. Shameless plug over. Next up is the Mxr Evh Flanger. This white with black stripe beauty here. Eddie used an old Mxr Flanger to great effect on songs such as Ain't Talking About Love and of course Unchained. And it was the latter that really got me. Wow, that was really lame. Sorry, but it is the truth. Now the opening riff of Unchained caused me to add a flanger to my pedal board immediately. Once again though, I could never quite get the settings right while playing that darned riff. I'd always get the close but no carrot reward. But then, finally, a few years ago, along came my savior. The white box with the black stripes that is the EVH Mxr Flanger. Even though it has 5 controls, I nailed the Unchained sound instantly. How? Well, thanks to a magic little button labeled EVH. This one right here. Yes, my friend, Ed was nice enough to let us access his exact Unchained setting by merely pressing a button. Nice. Please note though, just like his phaser, Ed used his flanger very sparingly, which merely added to its effectiveness and impact. Take the main Ain't Talking About Love riff, for example. He only kicks it in from the C to B bit, this bit right here. Hear what I mean? The flanger's just on for those 2 notes. It's not on for the whole time, just like this idiot here thought it was for many, many years and played accordingly. Ooh. And the same exact principle applies to Unchained too. He doesn't kick it in for the whole riff, he just steps on the pedal for key chugs on the low strings, just like this. See and hear what I mean? The pedal's not on the whole time, it's just for those key chugs. Less is more, as the saying goes. And Ed was a master of that. And this is the flanger setting he used most of the time. But that said, you can hear him using different settings on songs like Bullet Head and the intro to Outer Love Again. Incidentally, he also does the palm rubbing against the string trick using the flanger too. In fact, he does it in Atomic Punk just after his stunning solo. Just like this. Another thing I really love is the sonic impact this EVH flanger setting can have when you kick it on while doing a whammy bar dive on the low E or A strings. Just like this. Yep, I'm guilty of doing that a lot. Now, if you'd like to know the exact settings the magic little EVH button calls up, check out the article linked below I mentioned earlier. Shameless plug number 2. Anyway, next up, the Evh 5150 chorus. This blue and white boy here. Ed introduced the half-rack chorus to his rig around 1982 and used it to great effect on songs such as Pretty Woman on 1982's Diver Down album. The Evh 5150 chorus accurately emulates the subtle yet seductive sound of the rack unit, especially when the intensity control is set pretty low. As you may have noticed, unlike other chorus pedals, the Evh 5150 chorus doesn't have a chorus speed or rate control. No siree. All it has is these 3 controls: intensity, tone, and volume. Basically, it's a set and forget pedal. And just so you know, when the intensity control is set really, really low, the effect is so subtle you almost forget the pedal is on until of course you switch it off and immediately realize just how much width it was adding to your sound. Yep, it's an unobtrusive yet tasty additive that thickens up your tone. Nice. And next up is this attractive bumblebee device here, the Evh Signature Dunlop wah. Even though the wah was apparently the first pedal Edward ever used, he didn't use it on any of the early albums. In fact, he only started using it during the Sammy Hagar period. And when he did so, he did it with his usual tasty less is more MO, only kicking in the wah to accentuate the occasional lead lick or even a single chord to great effect. This striking signature wah pedal is a clone of a standard crybaby that Ed had custom modded in the 90s to sound even more vocal-like. And this exact copy even recreates the worn-in pot sweep and feel of his original. Perfect. Ed's marvelous playing on the 2015 Tokyo Dome Live in Concert album is a wonderful example of his masterful use of the wah as a tonal crayon to add unexpected color in places. The 5th and final EVH branded stomp box we're going to take a look at is the Evh 5150 Overdrive. This bad boy here. This little brute is definitely one of my favorite amp-in-a-box pedals out there. So much so that I've used it plugged into a clean amp on several throw-and-go guest appearances, and people were staggered that my dirty sound was created by this little 5-control box. Yep, it really is that good. And what does this pedal sound like, do I hear you ask? Well, you already know, because that's what I've been using for almost the entire video. All I'm doing is plugging into the clean channel of the Evh 5153 LBX 15-watt head. Here's what the amp sounds like with the pedal off. And here it is with the pedal on. Nice! Now, the 5150 OD pedal is based on the amazing blue channel of his signature Evh 5150 amps, and Ed not only approved it, the legendary Tone Chaser once again was involved from start through finish. Now, as you'd expect from an amp in a box, its main controls are the usual suspects, namely gain, treble, mid, bass, and output. I say main because it has 2 other really cool features, a built-in adjustable noise gate and also a push-button boost that allows you to front-end the amp in a box from the box itself. A neat feature that sounds and feels really good. And that's what I've been doing throughout this video. I've got the gain control backed off to about 1 o'clock and I've got the boost on. And here's once again is what it sounds like. And there you have it, my friend. Those are the 5 Evh signature pedals. Before I go though, I should quickly mention 2 other key ingredients to the Evh tonal recipe, namely reverb and echo. Let's deal with reverb first. In my humble opinion, reverb just cannot be overlooked. Just listen to the band's groundbreaking first album and you'll literally hear what I mean, especially if you're using headphones. Providing you've got your headphones on the right way, of course. If you only listen to the right-hand side, all you'll hear of Edward's amazing guitar sound is reverb. Why? Because his guitar is panned hard left with reverb on the right. And believe me, there's a lot of it, especially on that game-changing debut album. Here's a lick with no reverb. That sounds pretty good, but let's see what happens when we add some reverb, shall we? Now we're talking. Hear what I mean? Granted that was mono rather than stereo, but the latter, in my humble opinion, is a clear winner. Now the reverb on the first album was added in the studio, and to this end I'm using an MXR reverb pedal on the plate setting to mimic it, and the pedal is in the amp's effects loop for obvious reasons. Ironically, as revealed in this great book, Ed wasn't a huge fan of the reverb on the first album though, and once again, if you're interested in this, click the link below to find out why. And if you're an Evh fan, and the chances are that if you've been watching this video up until now you are, this book is highly recommended, so go and get it. And hats off to the writers Brad and Chris. It's top shelf stuff. Thumbs up, chaps, well done! Next up is Echo, also known obviously as delay. Now Ed's Echo unit in those game-changing early days was an Echoplex EP3 tape echo, and it was placed in front of his cranked and variac Marshall 100-watt Super Lead. Now, indignant purists who feel that all ambient effects should be placed in an amp's effects loop may well cry out, heresy! But guess what? Ed's Plexi didn't have an effects loop. And you know what? Even if it did, the results he achieved by putting his Echoplex in front of the amps are perfect. Just perfect. So purists, shut up. And to be EVH correct, that's exactly what I'm doing here. I've got an Mxr Echoplex pedal in front of the 5150 Overdrive pedal, not after it. Just like this. Ed's settings, by the way, were very conservative. Invariably a pretty short delay, typically around 300 milliseconds or less, with only one repeat and a low echo volume setting too. Just like this. And once again, just like all his effects, he only kicked it in at certain key points. Like the chorus of On Fire or Ain't Talking About Love, for example. Here's what the latter sounds like without said delay. And once again, I award that the Close But No Carrot Award. Here is the same exact thing, but this time with that short echo kicked in. Yeah, it makes all the difference, doesn't it? Especially when you're playing, it just feels really good to have that short bounce in there. It kind of fills things out. And as for the chorus of On Fire, those first three chords are not played twice as shown in certain dodgy transcriptions. No sir, the single repeat of each one is literally that single echo repeat we've just been talking about. Here's what it sounds like with the echo. And that's the way Ed played it. One hit, then the echo does the rest of the work. And I don't know about you, I like that. It's much easier than trying to hit each chord twice. And that, my friend, ends our lightning tour of no fewer than 7 pedals. Well, if truth be told, actually 8 pedals, because remember, the Evh Phase 90 is 2-in-1, namely script and block. Anyway, hopefully you'll be able to use some of these ideas to Eddie Van Halenize your sound so you'll sound exactly like you. And please, always try and remember, use your effects sparingly so they enhance your sound and songs rather than taking things over. As the much-missed Edward once said about his effects, they enhance the sound of what I'm playing in certain spots. It's like making a steak. You have to have the steak first, then you can make it better by adding a little seasoning. But not too much, because you want to taste the steak, not the seasoning. Now those are wise words from a great man, and in my humble opinion, they're well worth heeding. Let's talk about the steak, not the seasoning. Anyway, have fun with this stuff, my friend. And once again, for more info on Ed's pedal use, check out the link below. And by the way, for what it's worth, Mr. Van Halen, thank you for your timeless and inspirational music and playing. I'm out. See ya. Thank you very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to like, comment nicely please, and subscribe. Click here for more videos like this, or start at sweetwater.com for all your music instrument and pro audio needs. Have a simply splendid day. Stay frosty, my friend. Cheerio!